All right, welcome everyone. Um, Welcome everyone. We're happy to see that you're joining us today to participate in our webinar, FinTech through the Management Lens. My name is Mikhail Nediak. I'm the Head of Management Solutions at SIT Learning. And together with Zahid Imran, Head of Innovation Valley, we are your hosts today.
Thank you, Mikhail. I'm so happy to have you all here, especially warm welcome to Javier and hello everyone. I'm Zahid, founder and CEO of Innovation Valley. I'm so happy that we are going to conduct this second webinar on the topic of, fintech through the management lens. And today we will discuss a lot of amazing things on financial technology. And today, as our guest, we have mainly Javier Gonzalez, and he is an international. He's a professor in an international university. So much, experienced in his field, and we are so happy that we have with us today. So, what we will be discussing today in this webinar, let me introduce you. We will be discussing what actually fintech is, how does it work, what are the fintech opportunities and obstacles, and SIT Learning and Innovation Valley launch of the amazing 3 days program in person in Lahore, Pakistan in January 2023, and what you will learn and how you could get registered in this amazing program. And in the end, of course, we will be having the question and answer session with our guest. So without any delay, I would welcome to Professor Javier to our webinar, and we will start it. But before that, would like to introduce, would request to Mikhail to introduce about SIT learning.
Thank you, Zahid. Just a few words. SIT Learning is a part of an extensive ecosystem of Schaffhausen Institute of Technology. This is an international research institution headquartered in Schaffhausen, Switzerland, with many sites across Europe and the United States of various entities. We are interdisciplinary at its core, but our main mission is bring technology to fruition to actually help businesses take the best value of emerging deep tech, and we strongly support efforts in science education, especially technology education for businesses. Moreover, I would like to emphasize that we have quite a few entities that support EdTech ecosystem, and as well as startup ecosystem. There is quite a few entities, including proper research universities in Germany, in Switzerland, and one of our entities is Acronis, which is a major cybersecurity and cloud solution provider. I would like to mention a little bit about our vision and purpose. Zahid, maybe next slide, please.
Yes, so I would request you, Mikhail, to introduce Mr. Javier a little bit more.
All right, all right. Just kind of to tell you a little bit about our amazing speaker today, Professor Javier Gonzalez Nunez. He's going to be one of our lead instructors of FinTech through the Management Lens program in Pakistan. His main areas of expertise are creativity and innovation management, finance, entrepreneurship, and he teaches various courses, both online and offline, and various levels, including bachelor's, master's, MBA, as well as executive education. His experience include schools like ESEDA, LSE, Maastricht School of Management, and he worked in multiple geographies, including India, Morocco, Belgium, Luxembourg, Spain, of course, and in various industries, including financial and pharmaceuticals. He runs his own startup, Tonic Teaching, and it was launched in 2020, and they developed educational projects in more than 40 countries. He consulted widely for top companies in the world, including Santander Bank, Zurich Insurance, Lombard Luxembourg, and he is a senior consultant for the United Nations and the Gulf countries, working on business incubators and accelerators. He's also a social entrepreneur. He launched Hope, where he and his team develops courses and academic programs to be taught in the refugee camps, which I think is an outstanding initiative. This supports the belief that only difference between persons is education or lack thereof. And Javier is doing a lot to actually close that gap, which is super important. As a conference speaker, Javier participated in several events from major institutions, including United Nations, Baku Process, and top-ranked universities. I'd love to introduce Professor Javier Gonzalez Nunez, and he will talk about our topic today.
Amazing profile about Javier, but and one just few moments I would like to introduce all of our audiences about Innovation Valley, and after that I will give the we will refer to the Javier. So let me introduce briefly about the Innovation Valley. Innovation Valley is a US and Pakistan based tech company with two missions. The one is to innovate learning, teaching, and management, and the second is to upskill and reskill the workforce for the future to cope with the industrial revolution. So now I would request to Professor Javier to let us know our audiences what actually fintech is and how does this work and all about that. So over to Professor Javier. Javier, I guess you are mute. Can you please unmute yourself?
Yeah, that's a classic. That's a classic move. The "sorry I was mute" is a sentence I use the most in the last 2 years. I believe I'm not the only one here. No, thanks to both of you, Zahid and Mikhail, for the extensive introduction about my profile. I also prepared a slide that I can then skip where I was introducing myself. No, very happy to be here. Very happy to be part of this. I believe amazing program with a lot of good and interesting content. I hope so. Just a hint for you to know, if you get into the background, I lose the presentation. So yeah, it's good that one of you folks stay with me, or stick with me. So we have different parts of content. Today I want to focus on the design thinking, and I will explain what design thinking is as part of FinTech. So FinTech, basically finance and innovation that get together, and a way to manage innovation. Innovation and creativity is definitely design thinking. So this will be one of the blocks in the curriculum, one of the blocks that I will be giving into the curriculum. I will also give another one about business strategy. We will mainly focus on business strategy oriented to fintechs, of course, and to innovation, management, and creativity. We will, for instance, so you can do some research. We will discuss in the strategy part, I will not touch base today, but just to give you a hint and a taster, we will focus on the blue ocean strategy, how you can innovate within the industry, create new segments. That will be just to give you a bit of an understanding of what we will be doing on the strategy side. So what is design thinking? I can definitely skip that slide. Just wanted to mention also several TED talks that I'm giving, and thanks Mikhail for insisting on the social entrepreneurship part of my activities, just to bound on it and to emphasize a bit on it, on the usefulness of fintech. Did you know that more than 40% of the people in the world don't have access to a bank account? So probably fintech can be a solution for those people. And in some regions, the gaps are very important between genders, for instance, or between rich and poor people. Okay? So if you take, for instance, a country like Bangladesh, lots of people don't have access to bank accounts, which is a hustle. It's a problem not having access to a bank account. So when we have access to a bank account, we don't understand that. It's difficult to show what empathy is, and we will speak a lot about empathy today. But so fintech can solve that kind of solutions and can also become a very profitable business. If you want to do an additional research, you can Google what Bcash is. B, the letter B, and cash, K-A-S-H. So Bangladesh, as I was saying, most of the people, or a lot of people, don't have access to a bank account, but they have a mobile phone. So Bcash is an app. It's a fintech for payments and money management at the end of the day. So basically an online bank account. People tend to believe that if you do social entrepreneurship, you cannot make money. So do not mix social entrepreneurship and charity funds. So with social entrepreneurship, you can become very wealthy if that's the objective, and you can also help the society and the environment. Bcash is valued at multiple billions in US dollars. Okay, so just to motivate you a bit to go into social entrepreneurship as well. So why design thinking? And trust me, I will really need a timekeeper on this session because I can literally speak about that topic for quite a long time. So Mikhail and Zahid, I count on you here, folks. Why design thinking? I will show you some numbers, some figures. Okay, I also have a background in finance. I'm a finance professor, among other topics. So we need to show the numbers. We need to show the figures. 82% of the company believe that their success, their results, their performance, mainly the profits, rely on their creativity, on their ability to innovate. 69% of those do believe that design thinking is key in that process innovation. Okay, so what innovation is, what is innovation, what is creativity? We will discuss that together during the program. Just want to show you also another number here. 219% of decrease of the S&P index. Companies based on design thinking outperform companies that don't use design thinking. Okay, so that's just some of the numbers. Maybe you can reflect when you will rewatch this, or for those who will rewatch this on YouTube, what design thinking is for you. Maybe you already have an understanding of it. Maybe you never heard about it. Maybe you heard about it, but you don't know what it is. In all those cases, design thinking is definitely a good topic for you. Basically, it's a method. Okay, let me ask you here a question. You probably work in a company. Your company probably has products and or services. And what are the odds? What are the chances that we put together a creative team of 10 people, and those 10 people will launch exactly the product that the people want in the market? What are the odds? What are the chances? You can just guess about a number. I think we understand very few, very small probabilities that you will launch exactly at first what people want. So design thinking is about increasing the chances of innovating in the correct direction, of launching the good and correct product or service, of innovating and launching the next disruptive fintech, the fintech that the world and the society or the community around you needs. Instead of, oh, I have this idea, I'm sure it's a good idea, let's just launch it. I know a lot of students, pretty brilliant students, who launch fintechs believing that, okay, this is the next thing, I'm sure. What's the issue? They were the only ones believing that. Okay, so human-centered methodology, it's a method for innovation. Let's just stick to that for the moment. Many companies decide to innovate. Okay? A lot of companies want to innovate. A lot of companies want to launch new products. FinTech is a good example of this. A lot of companies say, oh, we want to innovate, we want to be creative. Innovation is one of our strategic goals. Okay? But what they did not define is, why do we want to innovate? What do we want to improve? What is innovation at the end of the day? And I can bet with you whatever amount you want that if I ask you to think about 3 innovative companies, and please do it, think about 3 innovative companies. I give you like 5 seconds because you don't need more. So 3 innovative companies here, okay, or that you consider innovative companies. I'm pretty sure some of you listed Google, some of you listed Apple, some of you listed Amazon, some of you listed Tesla, and I see Mikhail smiling and laughing, so probably I'm not wrong on this one. So I can literally bet money on that. Why? Because we associate innovation to what? To the product. Is it always the case? Actually not, and we will cover that in design thinking and also in strategy. Innovation is not only about the product, it is also about the channels, the delivery. Remember my Bcash example, that app that gives access to poor people to bank accounts. Did Bcash invented the mobile phone? No. Did they invented the bank accounts? No. They are innovating on the way to access them and on the customer segment. Let's give bank accounts to poor people. This is also innovation. What is innovation? Not copying, doing something that others don't do yet. Okay? You probably know those companies. And if you don't mention them in your list of the 3 innovative companies, there is probably a reason, because they almost disappeared. And I always ask this question, who had the Nokia 3310 here? best mobile phone ever. Okay, that's a personal opinion, but it was super resistant. Everyone had a Nokia. I think they reached a market share of 95%, which is huge. Who has a Nokia today? And I'm pretty sure when I will see and ask this question, no one will raise their hands. Why? Because Nokia almost disappeared. They got purchased. Now you can see Nokia's on the market. They got purchased by Microsoft. So it's not Nokia anymore. Nokia is a Finnish company. Same happened to Kodak. Kodak almost disappeared. Why? Because Kodak did not bet on the digital cameras. And obviously, when we listen to that today, it's like, oh, they didn't bet on the digital cameras. Those guys are geniuses. Yeah, not that easy to understand what the next trend or dominant technology will be. Kodak's still active on the cameras for the cinema. The last 3 Star Wars were recorded with Kodak cameras. Did not help to improve the quality of the last 3 Star Wars. That's another topic. So if I ask you the question, what happened to Nokia and Kodak, most of you will probably tell me they did not innovate. They didn't keep innovating. 2 world leaders in their segment. They were probably wondering, we have 95% of the market share. What could possibly happen to us? Probably nothing. Why should we bother in innovating? I'm pretty sure you would have that guess. Let me show you the investment in research and development of Nokia in the last 3 years before they collapsed. 312 million euros in 2006, 523 millions in 2007, 778 millions in 2008. I told you I did finance, but I'm not too good at counting millions, but I think we have 1.6 billion euros here. So did they innovate? Yes. What's the issue then? Did they invest into innovation? Yes. What's the issue? They didn't innovate in the correct direction. Do you remember what I told you? What are the odds that 10 geniuses together will guess what is the next big product, successful service? What is the next successful fintech? Very, very little chances. So what would be the solution here? An iterative method, where the ones deciding or giving you the direction of the innovation will be the customers themselves. And this is basically where students, learners, executive education students will tell me, oh yeah, we do market research. If we would have asked you beginning of the 2000 or 2005, what do you want on your mobile phone? What do you want on your Nokia 3310? Who would have answered, oh, I don't want this. I want a smartphone. Probably no one. So asking question is not good enough. You need to do, or you must do something else. There are other methodologies that will help us, like Agile, Lean, DevOps, that you probably know and heard about. All those are complementary to design thinking. If we have, just to advance a bit, if we have a quick look here at the steps themselves, we start like this. So this is the design thinking loop, okay? Or the design thinking stages, 5 stages. If we ask you to create the next fintech, you will probably directly go into what? Into a brainstorming session with your team. Okay, let's brainstorm together and we will see what could be the next technology that people do want. Again, you go back to those patterns of the creative team that gets together, brainstorm, and they launch a product. Is it the good approach? Probably not. Doing a market research is also probably not the good approach. The first step is a little bit counterintuitive, but you need to start with the empathy. Basically understanding what the people, what the public, what the customers or potential customers do want. And again, asking questions is not good enough because people don't have the knowledge to answer, don't want to. People do lie. I call that the Dr. House effect. Everybody lies, okay? And people cannot project themselves into the future. In the end of the 80s, beginning of the 90s, who would have said, oh, on my computer, I don't want to embed a Word document, I want the internet? Who would have said that? Probably no one. Okay? I have a lot of examples on what can go wrong about asking questions. I will just take one. I really like those cases of world leaders that almost do disappear. You probably all know Kawasaki as a company. Okay, so Kawasaki, basically, what do? They do everything. It's a Japanese company. So what they do here is they they do sugar, they have a bank, they do consulting, they do everything. They also do jet skis. And I'm pretty sure most of you tried jet skis at least once, or at least know what a jet ski is. So Kawasaki was the world leader into jet skis, and they decided to keep innovating, to do a worldwide survey that costed them millions to understand what was the next improvement they should do or they should make on their jet skis. They did it, and people answered at those times on the jet skis you had to stand up. And people said, we want a better standing up position. We want a more comfortable standing up position. I'm pretty sure none of you tried a better standing up position, because the competitors did what? They installed a seat on the jet ski. Okay, so that's the limitations of asking questions. What would have been the correct approach here? To observe people, to observe that after some time on the jet ski, people are kind of lowering their body because they would prefer to sit. So this is what the empathy phase is about. Okay, the empathy phase is really about understanding the customers or potential customers rather than asking them questions. Okay, give you another quick example. We are doing a challenge with Microsoft, or with some schools and Microsoft, which is about what? It's about creating a Teams, the application Teams, the streaming, the video call app or the video call software Teams for old people, for elder people who are 65 plus, 70 years old and plus. How do we do that? Do we ask them questions? No, we give them the Teams and they do observe. We do observe them. So we understand what are the limitations, what they are trying to achieve and they cannot do, what they are, the lacks in terms of knowledge that they have, etc. So this is how you do it at the beginning, the empathy phase. The next step still is not running into finding solutions, is the definition phase. Mainly, I want to understand what are the problems, the real problems, the root causes of the problems. Most of the time, we will try to tackle what? The symptoms. When actually, we should tackle the root cause of the problem. Defining the problem seems something very straightforward and easy. Trust me, we'll do some activities about that. It's probably one of the most challenging parts that we have here on the design thinking. Only then, so you saw what happened here, only then we will go into the ideation phase. Also called by some of you the brainstorming phase, but we will see that brainstorming is just one technique that we can use on the ideation. You have dozens, not to say hundreds of techniques on the ideation phase. We will definitely work on that as well in this program. Once we did this, we transitioned into the prototype. So we selected the best ideas. The prototyping phase, again, who is testing the prototype? The user. We want to create something, version of the product that the users can test and give us feedback about. That's the main objective of a prototype, to make people visualize, touch, experiment our solution, and give us feedback. And here again, we need to observe them, not only to ask them questions. Okay, so prototyping and then the test. The users should be centric to this part here. They should be on the empathy phase for sure, on the problem definition, probably not on the ideation. Okay, and then on the prototyping phase either, but you can include them in the test phase, or you should include them in the test phase. Too many times in all the companies I have been working with and for, I see that, the IT department is testing the prototype or the application. This is a big but common mistake. So the idea here is that the final user, the end user, should use and test the prototype in order to give us feedback. It does not look like a loop so far, but like this is probably more intuitive. So the idea is we observe the client. We can also ask him question or ask her question. That's not an issue, but it's mainly about observing. We define the problem. We go to the ideation phase. We build the prototype, and the client is testing it. And we can always come back. Maybe we didn't do the empathy phase well, or we didn't really capture the problems that the clients are facing. The ideation, we come up with ideas and solutions, but they are not the appropriate ones, etc. Okay, so it's really an iterative method that you can compare to Agile for those who are familiar. The objective is to fail fast, fail cheap, and fail fast, learn fast. And again, it is to put the customer at the center of the creativity. Like this, when you launch your FinTech, you are sure that people will use it. I want to give you an example here, another company example. I like to take examples from other industries because we can get inspired by that. Even if I'm a finance guy, still I'm a good person. Okay, so the idea here is really, you all know Lego as a company. Lego, they do those plastic bricks, and you can build pretty cool things with that. So Lego, when they launch a new Lego set, they use this design thinking, customer-centric approach. Instead of having 4 creative people in Denmark creating a new Lego set, they have a community, and they created this Lego Mindstorms project, which is a Lego ideas. So people can submit and propose their creations, and so they can post, for instance, a picture of the Eiffel Tower on the website, and other people will be able to vote, to like it, to give reviews. If 1 million or 10 million people, if 10 million people give a good review to the Eiffel Tower, this is a very good indicator for Lego that potentially we have at least 10 million clients. Does it mean that we will never make a mistake by launching a new product? Probably we will keep making mistakes, but we will reduce the rate or the chances of launching the non-appropriate product. Also, we can go back quicker, faster, and at a cheaper price than just, we launch products we are not sure that those products will be the good ones. So design thinking, long story short, it's a methodology that will help you to innovate and innovate in the correct direction. What's the correct direction is what the market wants, even when they don't know that they want it. Okay, like my Kawasaki example or my Lego example. We will obviously during the training go through each of those steps. 5 stages, 5 steps that can be quite extensive. We want to share with you. It's a learning by doing approach. So here I'm presenting the different steps in detail, but the idea is not only that you listen to me, even if I'm sure it's super interesting. But the idea here is really that you learn by doing. So you apply with cases, with your own examples. We do apply, and we give you the possibility to apply the learnings and the theoretical learnings that you get during the day. The objective really here, and this is my motto, and you can make it yours if you want. If you don't use it, you lose it. So we really want a hands-on experience session where not only you will learn the concept of design thinking, but you will especially be able to apply it. So when you go out the classroom, you can apply it to your daily life and also to your professional life. This is really, really the objective and the approach that we are implementing here. I can give you other examples. I think we still have 5 minutes. Airbnb is another good example of design thinking. So the idea here was to observe people first and see what they wanted. What's the point of a marketplace? A marketplace, and a FinTech can be a marketplace as well. The issue here is that you have people who want to buy or who want to rent, and people who want to rent because they are the landlord or the tenants of a flat. The issue is that you need to attract both. So Airbnb, what they did, they purchased flats at the beginning, and they involved super users. So those super users are basically people who have flats, they want to rent them, and they do it for free. They don't pay any commission to Airbnb. The idea was to have this first offer on the platform. An example of a marketplace in FinTech could be an individual to individual, a C2C, a client to client marketplace of people lending money and borrowing money. Who should you attract first? The lenders or the borrowers? Probably both, but definitely the lenders a little bit before. So how will you attract those money lenders, individual and C2C money lenders? Definitely by giving them good conditions, like a super user condition, better rates, for instance, on the credits. Folks, I think we are running a bit out of time. Just want to mention some of the solutions that you can find with design thinking. It's a methodology that can be applied to almost everything, especially when the problem is new, so that wasn't tackled before, and that you need, and it's customer centric. So you really need to have a customer centric, a person centric problem here in order to be able to solve it. An example of something that was solved with design thinking is those warning messages about nuclear waste, for instance. You know that, I mean, we don't know how will be the civilization in 200 or 300 years, but we want to make sure that the generations of the future don't take out of the ground those nuclear waste. So this is the signal that has been invented for that. When we see that worldwide, we understand what it is. Okay, so design thinking was used to find solutions to that problematic. Same for Airbnb, same for the companies. I will share with you during the program several examples of this. Okay, I think we are good about the timing, Mikhail and Zahid. Just don't want to add more details and keep maybe a bit of suspense for the session. But I hope it was clear. I'm maybe happy to take some questions. I hope it was clear on what design thinking is, a bit about the methodology and different steps, and why and for what it is useful. That was a bit the objective here for this first wrap-up session.
Thank you, Javier. Well, I mean, you could probably mention a few more things. I think we have like a couple of minutes.
Yeah, we have? Oh, great.
Yeah.
I just don't want to overpass.
Sorry to interrupt, but I request to Javier, go ahead, and we have some more minutes, so please.
Okay, perfect. Then I'm super happy to continue here, folks. But I don't want to overpass the time. I know you also have things to be mentioned. So no, if you have more time, this is just great. Yep. The idea here, design thinking is a methodology to innovate. I said that you can and should couple it with other ones that you probably know, Agile, Lean, and DevOps. We will, during the session, introduce those concepts as well. Okay, so we will definitely use the Agile, especially the Lean. The DevOps will be briefly mentioned, but we'll focus especially on how to avoid waste and how to work in a methodology when you have uncertainty. And FinTech will be about that. If you want to launch a FinTech app or even a FinTech company, the idea here will really be like, I need to launch something new. I don't know what are the requirements from my customer. So this is where Agile will play a role. So don't imagine that because you apply design thinking, it's the recipe, the miraculous recipe that will solve all your problems. It will definitely solve a lot of them in terms of innovation, but you need to combine those with other ideas here. What's the objective? Okay, the objective is to get ideas from the customer and with the customer, to test them as quickly as possible, to reduce the feedback loop, and then to go back to the ideation phase, the ideation session, if necessary. It's mainly a methodology that relies on the human. We mentioned it, and this is where it can get a bit tricky sometimes. So understanding who is your user or who is your beneficiary and who is your client is one of the key aspects here. Why is it tricky? Because sometimes there will be different people. So you might have different customer segment. That's one point. You could also have end users and beneficiaries who are not the customers. The definition of a customer is someone who pays for your service. Imagine that you want to create a platform which is about financial literacy. It will educate people about finance. And you want to create an app about that. And the idea will be here to convince, for instance, the parents and all the universities to purchase those products for their kids and the students. Who is your client here? The parents and the universities and all the universities. Who are the beneficiaries? The students or the kids. Why is this important? Because you will need to understand that to create something customer-centric and to do the empathy phase that I just mentioned. So you need to understand the needs of who? The beneficiaries, the end users here. But from a marketing perspective, from a commercial perspective, and from a business strategy perspective, you need to convince the customers. So this is one of the challenges, and this is how we should always start, identifying who are those humans that we want to use in our human-centric methodology. For that, we can use different techniques that we will also cover. One of the techniques is using personas. You're probably familiar with that or not. But building personas is a challenging activity. We will see how to do it together as well. But that's probably the starting point of the methodology. That relies more on how we feel rather than what we think. We will also focus on the what we think, but to a less and a smaller extent. The idea is really to observe the frustration of the people. And when we observe people rather than asking them questions, we call that ethnography. Ethnography is the best friend, or one of the best friends, of design thinking in this case. If you have a look at, we have design in the word, we have design in the title. So we think about designers. What designers do? Designers observe people. They do this empathy phase. They will invent a solution for the frustrations and the needs of those humans for whom we are trying to solve the problem. And then they will iterate, which is we will do as many prototypes as needed to reach the innovation. You all know Thomas Edison. Thomas Edison invented the lamp bulb. I know there are other theories, okay? But he invented the lamp bulb. He did 10,000 prototypes. 10,000 prototypes before he found the appropriate solution. This is a very good example of iteration. Prototype, feedback from the customers, prototype, feedback from the users, etc., until you reach the innovation. I want to share with you, and I asked you the question at the beginning, what's your definition of innovation? My definition of innovation is creativity that works commercially. So creativity is at a human being perspective. I create something, and then innovation is I manage to commercialize it, so it becomes a success, a dominant technology, for instance. So this is what innovation is to me. And design thinking will actually reunite three dimensions. The designer's dimension, which is the empathy plus the invention, okay? The creativity, understand the customer plus the creativity. Then the world is how it is. Business, sustainability. When we speak about sustainability or viability, is from a business perspective, from a commercial perspective, from a money-wise perspective. And then the engineers, who are always there as well, is it feasible? I can understand the user, I can invent something with an MVP or with a prototype, and then maybe it would be super viable and super profitable, but from a technical point of view, a physical point of view, it is not feasible. So all those three planets, all of those three worlds must be aligned to get a product that is innovative and will be successful. And this is applicable to any industry, also the FinTech ones. So I think I still have 2 or 3 minutes. I want to share with you a little bit what we do and what we will be doing. The idea is not only to show you what design thinking is, but also that you can apply it in company and with other people. So we will show you how to manage innovation within your organization using design thinking with different methodologies, how you can spread design thinking within your organization or within your startup if you create a new one. So you have energizer techniques that we will be sharing with you. You also have the importance of moving, activating your brain, activating your body. So putting blood in your brain is important. So what you can do, for instance, that I do really often, you can do walking meetings. So instead of being in front of each other in a meeting, and we all complain about the meetings, we have too many meetings, you can just have a walking meeting around the building and brainstorming or exchanging ideas there. Okay? There is also a very important chunk, a very important part of the program that will be dedicated to creativity. So you basically have 4 ways to improve innovation at your workplace. One of them is creativity, hiring creative people. And I have a good news here. Everyone can or could be creative. So you can train creativity. So we will train you to be creative so you can train other people to be creative. The other way to improve the creativity is the structure. If you have a very hierarchical structure that you need to validate everything 20 times before you can go ahead, we understand that creativity will not be there. So adapting the structure for creativity is important. The culture, we saw that creativity is an iterative methodology. Therefore, you need to accept that people and yourself, you will make mistakes. And actually, mistakes should be seen as a good thing, because mistakes will help you to reach this lamp bulb after 10,000 prototypes. I'm pretty sure we all use Post-its here. Post-its was a mistake. When they created the Post-it, it's 3M, a company called 3M. When they invented the Post-it, they were looking for something else. So even out of mistakes, good things can arise and can happen. Okay? The fourth one, Last but not least, we will cover that into strategy, is the importance of incentives. Okay, so incentives, as Jack Welch was saying, Jack Welch was elected, he sadly passed away now, he was elected best CEO of the 20th century. Jack Welch has several famous quotes. One of them is, show me your incentive system and I will show you how your people behave. So if you want people to be creative, to be innovative, incentives must be aligned for creativity and innovation. So we will also emphasize a lot on those 4 factors, not only on design thinking, but also how can you improve the creativity and the innovation within your organization and in your new venture if you intend to create one. Basically, that's it. And again, this just to give you a hint about what innovation is, why it is important, why just putting innovation as an objective or as a target is not good enough. We need to understand in which direction we should innovate. And this is what design thinking will help us. And then from a strategy point of view, there are several factors, at least 4 that I just mentioned, that we need to align to be more innovative and more creative. And this is what we will be focusing on and developing into more details end of January next year. Then. Back to you, folks. Now I think that it's the time where you have to stop me. I hope it was understandable and interesting, and that it gave you also the envy to get to know more about the topic.
Thank you, Javier. It was really amazing, insightful, and we have some questions. The first question I would like to show you is that Aisha is asking, I'm in the education sector. Can I change my career to FinTech?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a career advisor. I don't pretend to, but I think it's always possible. Of course, I mean, if you want to, if it's what you like, you should do it. So always go for what you like and what you want to do, and it's always possible. I became a professor by chance, and people were telling me, you have to do this, 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 and this. It will be impossible, and then I did it. So definitely. And if you want to do it on your own, like create your own fintech company, you're not only joining the fintech industry, but also the entrepreneur's family, which is also a challenge, but probably the best challenge. I'm an entrepreneur myself, so I'm a convinced person about that. But yes, definitely, when you're into education, you like learning. Being an entrepreneur is about learning and applying, so you can always do a career switch. I believe there is no limitations in terms of age or which sector you're coming from to go into something else or to change. It's just a matter of passion, really willing to do it, and getting trained for that. That would be my 3 pillars to do it.
All right.
But it's a good question for thesis.
So before I move
question for thesis as well.
Yeah, thank you. Before I move to the next question that we got in the comment section, I would like to ask another question, which is very basic with reference to today's topic. Javier, since our last webinar was by Mr. Denis, he talked about financial technology. So could you please little bit explain that what is the relationship between financial technology and management, and how the management guys in the companies could get more out of this financial technology in today's world, which is changing rapidly?
Yeah, well, management is transversal. It doesn't matter which industry you are in, management would be there. What's management is you manage something, okay? You take care that something goes well. You organize. An organization is part of all organizations. So how fintech can benefit business strategy and management, maybe that was more the direction of the question. Even companies who are not into fintech can benefit from it. I guess we all do the bookkeeping for our companies. All the companies have a bookkeeping to be done. If you could save 20 seconds or 30 seconds to record every operation, how much money are you saving in terms of costs? What is a company at the end? Any company in the organization, they want to achieve what? A competitive advantage. Competitive advantage is why people purchase from you and not from someone else. So how can those companies benefit from fintech? The equation of competitive advantage is willingness to pay minus costs. So what do you want to do? You want to increase your willingness to pay, and you want to decrease your costs. Fintechs can help you to manage your company in a better, more agile and faster way. So you will reduce your costs. You will maybe need less employees, and your employees will be able to focus on more added value tasks. So you will also reduce your cost. It could also help you, for instance, if you have a better payment system on your online boutique. Your clients will be happier. You are increasing your willingness to pay. You're increasing your attractiveness. Just to mention 2 or 3 examples here. So this is how any single company in the world can benefit from fintechs. A fintech could be those apps that you use. You scan the receipt, the ticket that you have, and it does your accounting automatically. So you reduce your bookkeeping costs and you save a lot of time, because bookkeeping is not that fun. I'm teaching accounting, I can say it. So all the companies can benefit from fintechs, even if they are not fintech companies per se. Will you have Zahid, or do you want a subsidiary question on this one? Zahid, can you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, I could hear you. So we will move to the next question. The next question is, how do you see, since you know that financial technology is getting into the mainstream and across the industry aggressively, especially in the developed countries and now across the world. So how do you see, the next question is actually we received in the comment section, what is the future of traditional banking in view of the fintech companies?
And probably the subsidiary question to this is, could banks disappear and we will only have like startups, etc.? I think they will help each other. This is an ecosystem, so we are more into collaborating than competing in this case. So startups have the agility, the fast decision making. They are more innovative, not only because, mainly because they are faster and they can take decisions quicker. Trust me, I've been working in very, very huge banks, 200,000 plus employees. Definitely, they will help each other. Most of the apps, most of the fintechs that are launched by startups, and financed by whom? By banks. And purchased by whom? By banks as well. If you create a payment system with an app, you need to have access to what? To the API of the bank, to the client's list and client's information from the bank. So it will be a collaborative ecosystem between those startups launching fintechs and creating apps and softwares, and the banks who have the clients, the network, also the technology, and especially the funding. So imagine fintech as a big ecosystem of banks, financial institutions, and startups who are bringing this disruption. But I wouldn't bet on a world without banks, at least not on the short, medium time. But then I don't read the future yet. Okay, but that's really my understanding so far and my opinion. So an ecosystem where they do collaborate together and they do help and feed each other. One with the funding, the other one with the ability to be disruptive and quick, a quick time to market.
Zahid?
You're on mute, Zahid.
Zahid, you're on mute.
I'm sorry. So before I put more questions from my side, I would like to ask Mikhail, if you have the questions, please go ahead.
Yeah, I would just maybe like second some of the Javier's opinions about management, about banking. Well, first of all, I completely agree that the banks won't disappear because they're so embedded into sort of government regulations, and they sort of provide a backbone, sort of a financial blood of the modern economy. So I don't think banks will disappear. On the other hand, banks are for-profit organizations typically, so they look to constantly improve the efficiencies, improve the processes, so they will not pass by a very good fintech investment or fintech collaboration if it A, satisfies the regulatory frameworks that they have to operate by, and B, that provides good returns. So I think there is kind of quite a bit of rational financial thinking that will incentivize the banks to become major players in fintech world. Also, I think there is an opportunity where banks may even approach new markets through fintechs. Let's say if we're talking about emerging market situation where lots of population is unbanked, as Javier mentioned, a major investment from a banking institution into a fintech solution can actually put this institution ahead of lots of other players in that market, right? So it's I think that's how I look at it. And from the management perspective, I also agree that you have to be a good manager, like of any technology that you seek to develop. Fintech is no exception. I would only add here that very often it's finance people in the organization who are most receptive to technology because they look at it as investment, and they will listen to you if you propose good value. That's kind of my 2 cents to the points from Javier. Zahid, you're on mute.
Javier, now the can you please tell that what are the big opportunities right now and in the future with reference to implementation of financial technology, and what will be the challenges for the organizations and for the governments to implement financial technology across different sectors and different domains?
That's a great question. We could do a thesis about it, Zahid, but just to mention a few of them, definitely the payment platforms or the insure tech, because we always mention fintech, but insurances should be part of the game as well. I completely agree with Mikhail when he mentioned the emerging markets, and we are entering in an era where emerging markets don't only want to have we are not only feeding them with products and low quality products that they purchase, and since we have a large population, we make a lot of money, but those folks know what they want. They know the quality that is out there. Information is available to everyone, so it's more about affordable, high quality products, and this is where digital technologies, and fintech is one of them, can definitely help. But think about all the payment technologies, insurances, think about trading and investment, think about Islamic finance, for instance, which is one of my specializations. Think about making information available from a financial point of view, and financial literacy and financial education as well. So a lot of fintechs are focusing not only on giving you access to invest, but also on educating you about investments. We could mention those ones. Think about the regulatory kind of avoiding the money laundering. A lot of fintechs are going into this direction. The famous KYC, know your customer, which is about understanding your customer needs, this needs analysis, and also about making sure that money laundering is not part of the game. So those tech or regulatory technologies are definitely a big and important aspect here. Security in general, you mentioned, or we heard about cybersecurity a little bit like behind the scenes, and this financial technology should serve as well the security. And there are a lot of opportunities there. I was reading an article recently that was mentioning that in Western Europe, around 80% of the banking apps were not that secure, according to a research that was and some tests that were done. So there is a lot of room for improvement. Just to mention some of the opportunities that you have out there. What are the challenges? We enter into this linear thinking that we need to add features and features and features and features and features and features to the existing technology to make it better. What happens if you do that? A lot of people are out of the picture. I mentioned the teams for elder people. So the objective of technology is not to put people aside or to put people apart, but to be inclusive. So how can this technology include as many people as possible? This is the objective, not create a tech gap side by side with the incomes gap and other kind of gaps that we have in society. So inclusiveness is one of the important challenges of technology, and it can also be very profitable. So that should be one of the incentives for people to think about inclusivity when we speak about fintechs. Just to mention some of the changes, definitely security is another one. Avoiding scams, avoiding people losing their money, avoiding people being in terrible situations, because at the end of the day, we all need money. Those for me would be the two big challenges: inclusivity and security in this aspect. So we don't need to forget that technology must be useful. Okay? So you can open a bank account by taking a selfie. That's also a fintech. So you take a selfie and you can open a bank account. But if we only give this option, how many people will not be able to do it because maybe they don't have a mobile phone, or they don't have a good camera, or they just don't know how to use it? So technology has to be fair, or used in a fair way to include as many people as possible, at least not to put people apart. That would be my answer here on the opportunities and also the challenges.
All right. So I would ask Mikhail if you have any question, or we would move to the next slides to where we would be introducing the overview of the FinTech program that we are going to conduct in January 2023.
Yes, Zahid, I think we should talk about the program. So thank you very much for switching over to
Yes, so I would
the...
request, Mikhail, can you please give the overview of the program? You could see on the screen.
Yeah, please, next slide, please. Yep, thank you. So as you have heard in this discussion, we're talking about one of the most disruptive technologies of the century. And we have to manage this disruption. We have to understand what kind of business models exist and what are the corresponding opportunities and challenges. So this program will give you most up-to-date knowledge how to launch your own fintech startup product, or maybe new business process within your organization to fully leverage fintech technology. Next slide, please. So the target audience of the program consists of upper and middle management, as well as finance professionals and entrepreneurs. I think each of these groups will get their own value. The CEOs and middle managers will get to see sort of what are the opportunities, what the new business models exist, and expand their current operations and lead digital transformation enabled by fintech. Finance professionals will see what applications exist and what are emerging technologies, how they can leverage them. And finally, entrepreneurs will be able to think about various phases of the launch of their own startup using fintechs. Next slide, please. I probably won't go through detail on this slide, but I just wanted to point out that we will cover quite a bit of various technologies that exist, including P2P lending, paytech, insurtech, as well as crypto crowdfunding. And in this program, you will be able to get key financial concepts that are needed to understand fintech, and you will be able to network with like-minded leaders and practitioners. Next slide, please. In terms of the program structure, on day one, we will review the major fintech drivers, platforms, and startups, and the fundamentals of the technology. In day two, we will go into details of certain specific fintech ecosystems and the corresponding products and business models. And finally, on day three, we'll talk about how to optimally manage and what leadership skills are needed to fully leverage fintech opportunities. Next slide. This is a snapshot of the overall program structure. As you see, we make the program very interactive. You will see various cases. You'll be able to participate in moderated group activities. And at the end of the program, you will come out with a very specific set of ideas and strategies that will allow you to manage this fintech technology in your organization, in your business, and your startup. Next slide. Three excellent instructors will deliver this content. Lead instructor Denis Boevskiy, who is academic director, professor of finance and innovation, Professor Javier Gonzalez Nunez, who is international university professor, who will talk about the management side and the innovation management side. And finally, Denis, who will talk about very specific expertise in fintechs for our target audience in Pakistan. Thank you. On the program details, here are the dates: January 27, 29. Location is in Lahore, Pakistan. The tuition for the 3 days is 2,000. Language will be English, and the format will be in person. So we hope that you can join us, and after the program, you will join the prestigious SAT alumni group, and you'll be able to network with graduates across all of our boot camps and programs. Zahid, over to you.
So the next question, for sure you would like to ask that. We have another question, but we don't have the time. So I would request my instructor after the program to get the answer and send to the person who asked the question. Anyhow, how the audience can get registered for this program, we have shown the link on the screen, and we will also mention it in the comment section, or you could directly go to innovationvalley.pk. And I would ask fintech.innovationvalley.pk. You could register there. And this was amazing session. And I would request to all of my guests, especially Javier and also Mikhail, for this amazing webinar and insightful and amazing information about financial technology. Thank you very much, everyone. Hope to see you soon again in the next webinar. Would like to ask you people if you have any closing comments about today's webinar.
I'd like to thank you, Zahid, for actually organizing this, and I think this is a great introduction to the topic of design thinking and innovation management. So thank you, Javier. It was a really pleasure to be in a virtual room with you, and I do hope that we have a successful and full class when the time comes. So looking forward to see all of the attendees of this webinar in the class.
Yeah, thanks to you for having me, and hope to see as many people as possible in the program end of January. And thanks, Zahid, for hosting this event, and Mikhail for having me in the program and here with you today. So it was a pleasure to share a little bit about design thinking. I hope it was insightful. See you next time.
Great, thank you. Great, thank you, everybody. See you soon.